All right, YouTube. This is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit, back with another video on this Wednesday morning. Now we got to talk about it. Cory Booker filibustered for 24 hours about nothing, about absolutely nothing. Then you have the Democrats still pandering and still trying to create a narrative that Trump is fascist and you know what I mean? And you're going to get your Social Security taken, your Section 8 taken. They're still fear mongering and telling the black community lies to keep them on the Democratic plantation. But there are so many things that they're not telling the black community. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Because Al Sharpton, he goes on the Breakfast Club and he actually starts to tell the truth about the Democratic Party. You know, he gets in front of the microphone and he gets to talking, but then he reveals things about himself because he was one of the ones that took $500,000 for Kamala Harris for a softball interview. He's the one that's been stepping out front, leading certain protests and acting as if he's a representative for the black community or that he's some type of leader that we have given consent to advocate for us, as if we don't know his history. You know, his history of race hustling, race baiting, manipulation. But today he goes on the Breakfast Club and gets in front of Charlemagne, who is duplicitous to say the least. Charlemagne says whatever script they give him. But today they got to talking about things that are like some black people need to hear. I'm going to point out a specific part because they're telling you still to support the Democratic Party, even though the Democratic Party has betrayed the interest of black Americans since their inception. Now, why do I say that? We're gonna we're gonna talk about how Joe Biden pardoned everybody in his family, Liz Cheney and everybody, but didn't pardon any of his black supporters who he had on the front line in his lawfare against Trump. You didn't hear him pardon Fannie Willis, Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, none of the other ones that participated in these things that are being investigated now. But he pardoned his family and a lot of others, but no black people. And I want you to hear out of Al Sharpton's mouth exactly what happened from this Democratic so-called leadership for black people. Listen what he's finna say. Now, this is for fair usage, for education, commentary under the 1976 Copyright Act. Let's begin.
In Florida, where they are fighting to win those elections. Because even whites are now going to their town hall meetings saying, wait a minute, you messing with my Social Security. Wait a minute, you messing with my Medicare. Republican congressmen can't hold town hall meetings. So he's got to try to change the conversation, make it something else. And he's good at that. There's no doubt in my mind that Republicans are going to fumble the ball. You already see it happening now, right? You know, based off what you just said about what's happening in the town halls, you know, on a larger level, you see what's going on at the stock market, all of that type of stuff. But even when they fumble, I don't think Democrats have the team to recover the ball. Now, there you and I agree. I think the problem is that you got the wrong team players. You cannot play a game if you're not going to play the game. And if they're afraid of Trump's going to tweet, Trump's going to do this. Don't get in the ring if you're afraid to get hit. I agree. You got to throw a blow and expect the blow to come back. And that's what I've dealt with all my. I assume they're going to come and throw blows at me because I'm throwing blows at them. People say to me all the time, Red Mal, how do you take it? Because I expect it. I mean, do I think I'm going to swing at them and call them bigots and talk about what they're doing to us and they're not going to swing back. I think a lot of us act like the folks that we're talking about are wicked ain't really wicked. They are really wicked, and they're going to try to do wicked stuff.
You know, what do we do? We I feel like you should primary everybody in the Democratic Party who's not willing to fight. And the leadership, like the Chuck Schumers, the Hakeem Jeffries, if y'all not willing to fight, we should be calling for them to step down too.
Yeah, but the only way you can run in the primary is you got to be in the party. If you're not registered in the party, you can't primary. Mm-hmm. So I think that I agree with primary. And I agree that a lot of these people need to be challenged. But you've got to build up a base to challenge them. Mm-hmm. And that's why I talked about the temporary folks. You need them for flash, but you need your people that are going to be there in and out so they can build some permanent structure.
I think it's crazy that, you know, you look at Trump, right? Like,
when he said you need the people for flash, because they're not going to really be there, he's low-key talking about Jasmine Crockett and AOC. They're the flash, while Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them hold the keys. But he's finna enlighten you to even more of the nefariousness of the Democratic Party. Let's continue to listen.
Love him, hate him, whatever. The fact that he gets in office and he actually shows the power that we thought other presidents should have had, especially Democrats. Like, I mean, the first day he gets on stage, he gets a pen and he's signing executive orders left and right. I mean, his guys that has 20 years and just in prison, 10 years in prison, pardons them immediately. And then you look at some of our Democratic presidents and you be like, man, they could have helped so many people for good. They just never did. Just was cowardly and didn't. So how does that give the people confidence?
It doesn't. And that's why guys like me that would come to the Democrats and ask them to pardon people and didn't can be disappointed and say, I went to Biden and asked for certain pardons that we couldn't get.
He pardoned his son.
But I couldn't get him to pardon Jesse Jackson's son. Mm-hmm. And
now think about that. But he's still asking you to be a part of a party to where you still are segregated and not respected or appreciated. He said he went and asked for him to pardon Jesse Jackson's son. He said no. They wanted him to pardon Kwame Kilpatrick. He said no. Biden didn't pardon anybody except his own family and white people that supported him. He did nothing for black people. Remember that he's Jim Crow Joe. Al Sharpton is telling the truth right now. For once.
And who should have been pardoned. And others, we went there.
So how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I'm not getting everything I want, but I'm certainly not going to go on the other side. So we need to then put the right kind of leadership there. You don't if you're on a team, if the quarterback or the tacklers can't work, you get better team players. You don't join the other team. So that's what I'm saying. There's a difference in the frustration some of us are showing. And some of you expressed, and then those that went and joined the other team. They went and supported Trump like that was an alternative. The alternative to having a head cold is not suicide.
So how do you look at Mayor Eric Adams?
I was about to say you decided whether you're backing away from Eric Adams.
How do you look at Mayor Eric Adams? Yeah.
How do I do what?
Look at Mayor Eric Adams.
Look, Eric and I go way back. When I started National Action Network, he was one of the founders. Mm-hmm. Where he is now, I think that he has made some positions that I disagree with, and I've told him that. Whether he made a deal with Trump or not, I don't know. But I know that there's some things in policing and all we disagree with, some things that we agree with. But I think that he's in a peculiar political position. I don't know how he can get reelected.
So you don't think that... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so because before, the conversation is that you are having a conversation about whether you're going to back him as mayor or not again. So you have made a decision not to?
I don't know that he's running yet. Has he said he's running?
He hasn't said. He has to Thursday to say if he's running again.
But if he does say right now, do you know what you would do?
Call me Thursday night.
I'll really call you. I'll really call you for that. Because I think for me, I'm looking at it because...
And another thing, he's showing you how just because they came at Eric Adams, now he's not willing to say that he was going to back him if he runs again, even though him and Eric Adams have been friends out there in New York. See, these liberals, they've gotten so bold that they say the quiet part out loud. They get in front of you and they show you how their politics and their grasp for power is more important than any policies that may help or benefit the people. they're still trying to use fear mongering with Social Security and things of that nature. And they're lying about that. This is interesting that Al Sharpton would get out there and say the things that he's saying, because he know he has no place on the conservative side. So maybe he's just running some type of extortion on the Democrats. I'm going to keep talking and running you down unless you give me some position or some type of compensation to speak highly of you.
I definitely will. I'm looking at it because you've been so vocal about him, and now you're vocally like, I don't know what I'm going to do. What do you want him to do? Like, what do you expect him to do?
I want him to continue to fight for the things that I supported him on, like the right kind of policing in our community, like being fair to people that are getting cut out of jobs in the city of New York, like standing up to Trump on a lot of this stuff that he is agreeing with Trump on. I do not agree that we should put Haitians and people of color in a category that they can be picked up by ICE just because of what they look like. That is racial profiling. I want them to do those things.
As a civil rights leader, do you feel like you should work with this administration on anything?
With the President Trump?
Yeah, this administration.
I don't think that I have that option. Trump has made it clear he's not going to work with civil rights leaders. Mm-hmm. He tweets at least once a month against me by name because I fought him when he was here. Mm-hmm. Central Park 5, we fought him when everybody thought they were guilty. Them boys went to jail. Mm-hmm. And 2 of them at my rallies every week now because we support him. So I don't think that there are areas that he and I could ever work together. But even though he tried to play Democrat, he used to come to National Action Network Convention. Twice he came. But there are some that can work with him, I guess. Mm-hmm. They need to do that. But they need to show us the result of the work. You remember, both of you, you remember when I had access to Obama. Yeah. I could come out and say, well, I got Obama to...
Al Sharpton is shrewd and sneaky. He said that the flashy Democrats wasn't going to be around, the ALCs, the Jasmine Crockett's. That's what he's hinting at. And he says even though he knows Trump will not work with him because Trump knows that he's a snake. You know what I mean? He told you Trump came to some of his conventions. He didn't want to tell you that Trump had donated money to him in the past. But now he's saying if there are those on the Democratic side who can work with Trump, they need to work with Trump, because how are you going to get anything done for your constituents? See, this we just hate Trump and we're going to stop everything he is trying to implement is only going to hurt the people, because it's several states, because of their position on illegal immigration, they're getting denied federal funding. Who does that hurt? It hurts all the citizens. So you got to think Al Sharpton is angling and trying to save himself because he sees the Democratic Party as collapsing.
Do this on that. I've not seen any black come out and say, I got Trump to do anything. In fact, the last black I saw come out of there was Omarosa, who said he's a racist. We don't even have an Omarosa in the White House now.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there's enough resistance on the street?
No, I do.
See, now that's how he do. He lies. He said he can't think of anybody that can say that Trump did anything for him. How about Angela Stanton King pardon, Kwame Kilpatrick pardon, the First Step Act, the continuing money to the HBCUs, the very fact that he's no taxing on tips and no taxing on overtime dumps millions of dollars into our community, untaxed. They walk a thin line trying to play both sides. Let's just
I think that the resistance on the street, when you see one of the things we're talking about is doing a boycott against a single company, and not talking about we're going to do it 10 days, 30 days. You boycott. I grew up in Operation Breadbag. You boycott till you break them, or you make them do what you want to do. You don't put a timeline, because they'll just wait on you then. It's, we got 40 days. You need to break things down economically.
He's teaching y'all economic extortion. Flat out. He said we got to break them until they do what we want them to do. It's economic extortion.
These companies that we're studying, coming out with Nan, can survive a long boycott. Because you find out who has a margin of profit, 4 or 5%, and their consumer dollars, 30% come from the black community, which means all you got to do is stop 7, 8 out of those 30 to not buy the product longer than they can operate in the red. That's how you do a boycott. That's what we're getting ready to do. So you don't want DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion? Fine. Then you shouldn't have a diversified consumer base. You can't have diversity in your selling, in your sales, but you don't want diversity in the C-suite. Then why are we buying from you? I can buy my stuff from somebody else. And that's what we're coming out this week on the companies that we're going after. And we're going to stay on them until we get them to turn around on this DI thing.
You know, those companies, I was going to ask you.
I'm going to announce it at the end of the convention.
Okay.
That's one thing that...
and we're going to announce where we march every year, a big march, a couple 100,000 in Washington. We're going to do it somewhere else this year. I'm going to announce that on Saturday.
Is that due to the boycott?
It's going to be connected to economics. It's just an economic battle. We do not have the Senate. We do not have the House. But Trump and the Senate and the House can't tell us where to spend our dollars. We ought to focus on corporate businesses and force them to tell their man, Donald Trump, what they got to back up on.
That's the mistake that was made after George Floyd, when all those corporations was, proposed all that money that we never saw. Mm-hmm. I remember Reverend Jesse Jackson pressuring corporations back in the day.
That's right.
To keep their promises.
Well, I was his youth director.
That's right.
That's why I know. Mm-hmm. I've been there. I'm not experimenting. I was there. I became youth director of Operation Breadbaskets, which when I was 13. So I grew up in this. And you don't have a timeline on boycott. And you don't stop the pressure until, first of all, you have, these are the 6 things we want: contracts, money in black banks. That's what we were doing. Mm-hmm. Advertising on black media. You don't even have black media no more. We would categorize it now. We don't do that anymore. And that's why we got to bring that back, because that worked.
What do you mean by we don't have black media anymore?
We don't have enough black-owned media.
Oh, got you. Okay.
We had more black-owned media in 20 years ago than we have now.
Got you.
How did you feel? I seen the press go at you and go at a lot of the people that Kamala Harris's campaign gave money to during the campaign. So what was your thoughts on that?
I expected that. I thought they was late. Kamala Harris gave some civil rights groups money to help get the vote out, nonpartisan, signed a contract with us that we could not in any way endorse candidates, so that they were protected, we were protected. Nobody ever asked us, did y'all have a contract? I think she gave several groups a couple $1 million. She gave National Action Network 500,000. And the tour we took, I took Central Park 5, 2 of them all over the country, which cost us more than that. We had to raise more money. So I expected them to do that. And my thing is,
he's saying the tour that he went on cost more than $500,000, $500,000 to fly to 3 conventions where you were given free tickets. The grift is insane that they get in front of you and they tell you things and you just can't connect the dots. This man is a paid shield, a paid operative to keep the status quo, a gatekeeper.
Fine. We can bring the contract. Let's go to court, because then I'm going to ask you about all the monies Republicans was giving some of these Christian conservative churches and these groups. They're going to take a shot. They are not going to mess with you unless you mess with them. Isn't it interesting? You got some of the people that you referred to that got some of that money during the George Floyd. They ain't talking about them. They ain't prosecuting them. They're going after other people. I'm talking about people that did crazy stuff with that money. Mm-hmm. None of them, have you heard, got a problem. But they still beating up on us.
I had a question for you.
That
mentioned...
is true. Man, there's
go ahead.
people that got hundreds of millions of dollars and nobody say nothing.
Not a dime. Hey, but I get $500,000 on a $700,000 tour, and then all of a sudden.
But you know what that's about, though? It's because you're like a figure of face that people want to move and target.
And I accept that. That's why I don't get mad. I don't be crying. I expect. In fact, I get a little upset if they don't hit me at least once every couple of weeks. Must mean I ain't got my fastball. Then Charlemagne the God be saying I done got old, so I gotta stay.
You gotta stay ready, so you don't gotta get ready.
Stay in the middle of the heat.
I had a question. You mentioned like having black people standing next to Trump. We don't have anybody right now doing that. Yep. You talk about Omarosa. People compare Candace Owens to Omarosa, and we're saying that she was trying to position herself that way. I know she's not the biggest fan of you, but like, do you think something like that would have been a help or a hurt for us if she was able to position herself the way she was trying to?
Who?
Candace Owens.
You put a Candace Owens and that category. She's not been in the White House.
No, she hasn't.
Omarosa was in the White House.
People felt like she was trying to position herself that way to get there.
I have no idea. If she walked in right now, I wouldn't know. So I don't know that she.
I know that's right.
I love what y'all do with Operation Breadbasket. I have done with Operation Breadbasket.
I'm gonna end on that note because he laughs so much. So I got to end on a note. Say he don't know who Candace Owens is. Clearly, he'll lie about anything. He knows exactly who Candace Owens is. But I want you to hear how he tells you in no uncertain terms exactly what the Democratic Party is about. It's not about legislation. It's not about helping you. It's about controlling and maintaining power over the masses while they get richer. He talks as if $500,000 and millions of dollars is nothing. Why our community suffered for the last 4 years, and we're at the mercy of the Democratic administration, who's at this point right now is still trying to sabotage any upward mobility from our communities. Well, that's all I got for you on this Wednesday afternoon. Signing to you at Detroit. This is Detroit's HPTV. As always, salute to all our patriots. Like, share, and subscribe. Support the channel. Peace.